Hi everyone, it's your girl Desiree and I'm back with another video. I know it's been a while, but I felt led to talk about this topic. This topic, I want to talk about getting through a drought season. So many people have been in drought seasons, and I'm sure a lot of people are currently in a drought season. What I mean by that is a season where things just don't seem to be going anywhere. There just seems to not be any overflow. It's like, where are the blessings at? Where is the breakthrough at? What's going on? This door seems to be locked. These windows don't seem to be opened. So it can be, for example, people who have been looking for work for a long time, people who have been looking for a better job or more opportunities. Maybe their business is not going well. They're in a drought season in their business. Also, maybe that person's been by themselves for a long time and they've been wanting to be in a romantic relationship, but they just don't feel like they're gonna find that person. They're like, what's going on? Maybe somebody's trying to sell their house. They're having a hard time doing that. Maybe somebody else is trying to buy a house and they just keep running into all these brick walls. Whatever it is, right? There's different type of drought seasons where we feel like, what's going on here? Like I said, where are the blessings? Where is the overflow? It seems like the water, the faucet is barely dripping, if that, right? So I wrote down some things that I wanted to share that can possibly be helpful to somebody in a drought season. And the first thing is being productive. Productive, not busy, because you can be busy, you can just be running around trying to just get this done, get that done, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're being productive. Sometimes when we're going through drought seasons, it's easy to just get busy because it's hard to accept the fact that things are not going the way that we would like them to go. Doors are not being opened. Things are just not panning out. Sometimes we also don't feel like we have clarity and we're like, what's going on? So it can be easy to just start getting busy. Or maybe, like, for example, if you're looking for work, or like I use the other examples, looking to buy a house or looking to sell a house, you can start getting into busy mode because you're like, I really got to sell this house. I really got to buy this house. I really got to get this job. And you just start going like real like hustle grind mode to the point where you're just running yourself to the ground, and that's not healthy. So yes, there is a season where we may have to put a lot more work into things than we normally would because we really are in survival mode, but at the same time we need to be careful where that is coming from. Are we moving from a lack based mindset, which is, a common topic talked about now, or an abundance mindset? Oh, there's no jobs out here. There's no jobs. I gotta get a job. I gotta get a job. I gotta hurry up. And from a place of desperation and anxiety, or is it, yeah, I really need a job because I have to pay bills. But at the same time, I know that that job is out there for me. I'm gonna have faith. I'm gonna be productive. I'm gonna apply to things. I know what I did during a drought season that I was in. That I believe that I'm slowly coming out of, is I had a spreadsheet and I was like tracking and organizing all the jobs, all the positions that I was applying to. And I was also color coordinating it and adding notes in it and everything like that to keep myself very organized on who was getting back to me, who wasn't, who told me that they weren't interested, where I was finding these opportunities, where I was applying for these opportunities. And that really helped me to be able to strategize and also to stay motivated. And I look back like, wow, like, you know, and it really is your perspective too, because when I look at the amount of positions I apply to, I kind of got discouraged at times because I'm like, look at how much stuff I'm applying to. Like, it's not like I'm just sitting around and I'm still not able to get a position. I'm still not able to get, but I try to like shift that and say, well, that's good that I'm doing all of that. And maybe I need to be more strategic in how I'm going about it. It's not about just applying to jobs, applying to whatever is available, because like I said, you don't want to move from a place of desperation. You also want to be strategic in how you're going about doing it. So I think that over time, I started being more strategic in the kind of positions I was applying to. I was using more strategy, and I also was starting to apply to more things that wasn't like, I did less settling. I did less. I'll just take that, even though I know that's not what I want to do, and even though I know that this is not even going to pay me even half of what I need, but I'm going to take it anyway. I slowly stopped doing that as much because I realized that that's not, I'm trying to move out of that, and I don't want to take anything that's going to set me back. Now, sometimes God does bring opportunities our way that is kind of less than what we ultimately want, but I think that's different versus settling for what you can get because you need something, because you're moving from a place of desperation. So it's important to be careful of that. The next point is basically keeping a support system of people around you that can keep you encouraged and also assist in the ways that they can during that season. So everybody doesn't unfortunately have friends and family and people that can be of support. So sometimes support groups can be helpful. Sometimes social media, I know it's not the same as having your organic friends, your organic family that you really get along with. But until you meet those people, like those friends, or that one friend that is meant for you to have, it's still important to have a support system, especially when you're going through a drought season where things are so stressful and things can be so challenging. And everybody goes through drought seasons differently. Not everybody that goes through drought seasons go through depression and sadness and anxiety. Some people actually are doing well. They're at peace and they still have a sense of joy. They may be concerned because, they're not seeing doors opening, but some people have a certain measure of faith where they're able to maintain a sense of peace and joy. That's the goal, right? That's the goal, that peace and joy, divine, right? The divine peace and joy that can help you remain joyful even in seasons where everybody else would complain, everybody else would crumble. I'm going to stay joyful, I'm going to stay peaceful, I'm going to stay humble and motivated. That's a goal, right? Because it's easy to say that, but then when you get in it, many people, that's not how it goes, right? We complain a lot. There's nothing wrong with talking about it and venting, but sometimes we get very negative, we get very discouraged, we get very whatever it is that we're going through, we sometimes don't always handle it in the most productive ways in the moment, right? But that also goes into the learning the lesson, which is another point that I wrote down, learning the lessons in that season. So when we're going through a drought season, a lot of times there's lessons that we need to learn. Sometimes God is trying to show us things, and maybe there were things that he was trying to show us before that we either weren't listening, or maybe we were so focused on everything else. But now that we have a little more time, or maybe we're seeking him more because of the season that we're in, maybe we're seeking more guidance from other people, now this is a time where we can now either learn a lesson that we didn't know, or see something that we didn't see, or maybe if there was something that we already know, because some of us are very self-aware, but even if we already seen it, maybe now we could see it from a different perspective, or really be able to tap in and really address it in a different way. So sometimes these drought seasons are also a time to learn lessons and also to cultivate character, to character building, because sometimes the things that we are waiting for and the things that we are asking for, they require a different version of us. That doesn't mean like maybe we have to completely revamp a certain area depending on what it is. But sometimes there is a certain level of elevation that needs to happen, or something needs to be removed, or a certain mindset shift or whatever. So sometimes it's not until we go through that season of drought that's when, if we allow it to, that, because we have to also allow the lessons to be learned. We have to allow ourselves to surrender and say, okay, this is what I need to learn. So when we are able to surrender and allow that process to happen, there's a lot of growth that can come out of that. And the last thing I wrote down is basically staying with yourself, spending time with yourself is important. I know this can be challenging for some people. A lot of people don't want to be by themselves. They worry, they stress, they have to always be around friends and family and people. And I know it's hard for some people because they have a big family, or maybe they're more extroverted, right? So I may not be able to relate, but I can understand why it's challenging for some people. But even if you are extrovert, it's important to spend time with yourself at times. And I think something that we need to work on, including myself, and I know some people may not struggle with this, but I do at times, is spending too much time on social media. So even if it is YouTube, I love YouTube, and there are times when I watch things that are very inspiring or very educational. I'm a free thinker. I like to sometimes go down a rabbit hole, right? So there's things that I learn. Sometimes I'm listening to a sermon, whatever it is that I'm watching. And that's great. But the thing is, if I'm constantly listening to those other people, or even music, constantly listening to music, then when am I ever sitting in silence and allowing myself to really hear what it is that maybe God is trying to tell me? When am I ever really sitting in silence and saying, what do I need to do today? Or, what do I need to do tomorrow? What? Oh yeah, I remember that experience that I had. Maybe I could have went about that a little differently. Or, oh yeah, I remember that relationship that I had, and wow, like look at how I grew from that, or whatever it is. Like, I'm not saying that you can't have these revelations when you're around other people. I mean, my mind runs 100 miles per hour, 24/7. So even if I'm around other people, I'm constantly having thoughts. But it's different when you're with yourself, especially when you can speak out loud, you could process it. Maybe you write in your journal if that's what you do. Maybe you write poetry if that's what you do. Whatever way that you're able to express that, now you're able to really do it in a vulnerable way and in a way that is really comfortable because you're with yourself. So I think that it is important. We don't want to be too isolated. I think that sometimes I struggle with that, where I can sometimes be a little too isolated, and then I start to kind of push people away because I love my space so much, and that's not really healthy too. So I think it's important to find a balance. It's something that, I'm not gonna lie, I'm still working on, especially as an introvert. It's very challenging. Like, when you really enjoy your own space and you just realize how much fun you can have with yourself. Like, sometimes you just want to be with yourself, and you're just like, why would I want to be with somebody else when I can be with myself? And don't get me wrong, I enjoy company with other people. I do. I like being social. But like I said, we don't want to overdo one or the other. Constantly being around other people, constantly being busy, constantly on social media, constantly listening to music, never sitting with ourselves, never listening. But then also the other extreme is being so isolated and you're not connected. So I think it's important, especially in a drought season, to be very careful of having that balance in there. So recap, basically, staying productive, and if you can, being organized in that productivity, which can also keep you motivated to look back and see your progress, especially when things are still not really showing much results in the physical realm. Like, it's really challenging. So when you can see the work that you've been putting in, it can be, encouraging, especially when you look at it from that perspective on continuing to continuing on, and also learning what maybe you need to do a little differently. And like I said, having the support system of people around you, whether that be a support group if you don't have people that are close to you, and asking for God to send you a friend, or asking God to help mend some of the relationships that you have with family, if it's His will, because it is important to have connections with people. Some relationships unfortunately have to end, whether indefinitely or for a season, but sometimes we also can improve relationships, right? And we can cultivate the relationships that we have, because it is important. People are there to be a blessing to us as well. Sometimes we don't realize just how much that can be a blessing, especially in those seasons. Some people don't have that, so when you have it, it is a blessing. And like I said, learning the lessons and also spending time with yourself. So those are the main things that I wanted to talk about. I hope this has been helpful. This is like 10 minutes less than what I recorded before, so I didn't want it to be too long. But I hope that anybody who's going through a drought season will be encouraged, will be motivated, and will continue on, and the doors will open. I know it sounds like, oh, I can't stand hearing that, but I promise you, like, I was in a drought season for like 6 months. I got a job January of this year. It ended like 4 months later. It was a temporary thing, and now God is bringing other opportunities my way. So it's like I'm slowly moving out of that season into a new season. It's been a lot. I went through a lot since summer of last year. So, and this is not the first time that I've been in a drought season. Thankfully, I haven't always been in a drought season that long, but this was one of the seasons I was in where I was in there for a while, for half of a year practically. So I definitely am speaking also from experience. So take care, y'all, and I will talk to you again soon. And make sure you leave a comment letting me know about your drought season and how you're pushing through, and also how you overcome maybe drought seasons in the past to encourage other people. Take care. Bye.